There are numerous dimensions to time. This is a theory that is frequently proposed to explain prophecy. Primary concept is that time, which appears to progress in a linear fashion, with the past preceding the present and the present preceding the future, may not be experienced in another dimension in the same order. It's possible that the past, present, and future all exist at the same moment. The concept of unknown temporal dimensions is best explored using dimensions we're already familiar with, such as length, height, and width. These in turn are best approached from a starting point that has a position but no geometrically defined dimensions. However, it does relate to figures with dimensions in the following way. When a point moves through space, it generates a single-dimensional line with only one dimension, length. When a line moves across space, it creates the shape of a plane, which has two dimensions, length and width. When a plane moves through space, it generates a three-dimensional figure with length, breadth, and height. Working backwards from a three-dimensional cube, we can see that the cross-section of the three-dimensional cube is a two-dimensional plane, and the plane's cross-section is a one-dimensional line, and the line's cross-section is a dimensionless point. We may deduce that a three-dimensional body is the cross-section of a four-dimensional body, and that when a three-dimensional body is moved in a precise way, it will produce a four-dimensional body. Then there's the matter of what kind of body a three-dimensional cross-section could be, and in what new direction could a three-dimensional form be moved to produce a four-dimensional figure, since any movement other than up and down, backward or forward, or side to side, would just result in a larger figure, not one of a different dimension. The feature duration, of course, is the solution, for as soon as something ceases to persist, it ceases to exist. To the familiar three dimensions, we need to add duration and time as a fourth dimension. Ordinary three-dimensional bodies should be described as four-dimensional, whereas a three-dimensional body should only have length, breadth, and height, but no time. Is it even possible to do so? Yes, but only in a theoretical sense. In their purest form, the point, the line, and the plane do not exist. Any visible line includes thickness in addition to length and duration, just as any actual plane does. If you know anyone interested in mysteries and prophecy, go ahead and share this video with them. It sure helps out. So, what kind of movement does a three-dimensional figure have to go through to become a four-dimensional body? We produce the cube by moving a plane in the dimension of height. Similarly, moving a hypothetical cube in the dimension of time should yield an actual four-dimensional figure. But what does movement in time imply? It must convey movement in a different direction, rather than the previously mentioned up, down, or sideways. Are you able to move in other ways? For starters, the Earth's rotation forces everything on it to move, including objects that appear to be immobile. As a result, a three-dimensional body may be characterized as a hypothetically stationary cross-section of a real body, whose fourth dimension, time, is inextricably related to the motion that the turning world inexorably imparts to everything. The rotation of the Earth around the Sun, rotation of the Sun around the galaxy's center, maybe the rotation of the galaxy around some unknown point, are all inevitable motions. We can argue that everything moves, since every visible body is subjected to all these motions at the same time, albeit in an undetectable way. Because motions and the dimension they imply can only be observed in the context of time, they're referred to as dimensions of time. What other aspects of time might there be if duration is one of them? We can provide only one of numerous options, Some of the possibilities include existence and disappearance, change and repetition. Out of all the possibilities, only duration is perceptible to us. When we say something emerges, we mean that we suddenly notice its presence. And when we say something disappears, we mean that we suddenly realize its absence. We don't notice any appearing or disappearing in between. Similarly, we talk about change but don't really understand it until we see aggregates of qualities that exist or don't exist. As a result, we infer rather than see the occurrence of sunset and sunrise, the passage of the seasons, and a child's growth. Even if it isn't considered to, things do exist and vanish, alter and return. In some respects, they're hypothetical to us, and their existence must exist in some other time dimension, just as the hypothetical three-dimensional body becomes real, that is, perceptible, in the time dimension we call duration. It is theoretically feasible that if one body has access to higher temporal dimensions, it also has quiet access to all other bodies. We can also assume that such access is gained through previously unknown modes or degrees of consciousness, one of which is prophecy. Thanks for liking and subscribing. We love those wonderful comments. Remember to smash the like button.